Hi everyone, and welcome to Game 3 of Round 4 of the Star City Games Invitational Qualifier Tournament Legacy event from Doncaster. We have Quentin Martin playing his Elves deck against Rob Catton playing Esper Stoneblade. They are currently locked at 1 each. Do you think that either player would have made any adjustment to the sideboard based on being on the play or draw this time?
If anyone did, it would probably have been Rob. His discard's a lot better on the play.
Yeah.
You can take, if Quentin has just one accelerant, it's really good. So Rob may have taken out a couple. Like he probably took out an Inquisition or two maybe, but I'd be surprised.
Okay, so Quentin's going to open on a Bayou here.
So I think it's just going to grind down to another grindy match that resolve round jitter really.
Pretty much what they were looking at last time, weren't they? So that's Llanowar Elves first up. Very nice looking Llanowar Elves from Quentin. Oh, never mind. That's Dark Blast from Rob Catton. That's got to be a decent card in this matchup, you'd think.
Again, Quentin's deck is essentially a deck of 1/1s. He has 4 Nettle Sentinels, 4 Deathrite Shamans, thank you, and a Greater Hoof and a Progenitus that aren't 1/1s.
Obviously, this is going to lead Rob to have a few decisions on whether he wants to dredge or not. Now, he does have access to Snapcaster Mage, so that's obviously going to make things a little bit better for him.
Yeah, with the dredging and having Snapcaster Mage, it's just going to open up a lot of options for him. However, he does want to make his land drop every turn up until about 5, so he's got to bear that in mind.
Exactly. There's Deathrite Shaman for Quentin and a Nettle Sentinel as well, so he's coming out fairly quickly. He obviously is looking to overpower the Dark Blast. If you were Rob, would you just leave it in the graveyard at this point?
Yeah, him having made two toughness guys, I'd probably just leave it there.
Although I suppose with the Deathrite Shaman being there, Rob might want to just put the Dark Blast into his hand so he can actually use it.
It's definitely a consideration.
Not the greatest mill for Rob. He does lose a Stoneforge Mystic in there.
And is that a V-Clique as well?
Might be, can't tell from this. I don't know, is Click a card you'd keep in against Elves, do you think, or is it very good against Elves?
I think it's not a case of it being very good. I think it's just better than some of his other cards. So, I think he may have cut down on the number of Jaces, and in the end of the day, it is a 3/1 flying threat, so it gives him information.
Carries equipment decently. And of course, it does allow him to interact with Quentin's hand as well.
Yeah.
So. Got to admit, I enjoyed playing Vendilion Click when I was playing a Bug Shell just because of Deathrite Shaman. So
yeah, casting him on turn 2 is a lot more powerful than casting him on turn 3.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Rob had a Stoneforge Mystic anyway, and there's the mighty Jitty again.
Yep, definitely going to be a problem. With the Dark Blast in his hand as well, he can get 2 counters, use 1 to kill, put a -1/-1 on the Deathrite, and then finish it off with Dark Blast, and then he can go to town with Dark Blast and Jitty on the rest of his guys.
Does Quentin really have any way to stop that?
The only way really he's got to stop it is just by killing Rob before it happens. Like Wirewood Symbiote, as we've seen before, goes a long way to helping mitigate the Jitty.
Okay.
And Quentin's going to be probably looking at some multiple Deathrite activations.
And he's got 2 Nettle Sentinels now.
Yeah, as I said before, he's firmly on plan C this game, and he's got 2 Wirewood Symbiotes. That's quite powerful. So Rob could have Dark Blasted one of them and left him without any, which means his Jitty could get through. But having the 2, he's not going to get a second use out of the Dark Blast, because Quentin could untap his Deathrite Shaman, returning an elf, then tap it again to generate mana, then untap it again to then eat the Dark Blast.
Yeah, I've got to admit, one of my thoughts initially was, well, why doesn't he double Dark Blast on upkeep? But then I figured that he couldn't because of the Deathrite Shaman.
Yep, and Rob noticed the fact that he would just lose out on his Dark Blast, even though it appeared that Quentin was tapped out.
Yeah. So unless he had access to a Brainstorm in hand, of course, at that point, which meant he could outstack the Deathrite.
That is correct. becomes quite interesting dredge with Brainstorm. It's not a card we usually see interacting with dredge.
And that's Korean Ranger coming down for Quentin, so he's got a lot of untap action going on there. So I'd say pretty much the moment he finds Heritage Druid, and if he finds Heritage Druid and a Glimpse of Nature here, I think that Rob's going to be undead pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin's just going to keep using that Deathrite Shaman, just a whittle away.
And he does have 2/2/2s swinging in, so...
Yep, he's on the beatdown.
Snapcaster Swords is fairly good for stopping...
Going back into people moving a bit too quickly.
Yeah.
Rob didn't really give Quentin a chance to respond there.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't look like we need a judge this time.
No, it looks like they've just wound back, and Rob is saying, I wish to play Snapcaster Mage and target my swords to plowshares.
Yeah, Quentin's probably gonna... He can untap with the Korean Ranger. Or the Wild Symbiote. He's gonna have to use 2 untaps to get the swords, so to speak.
Yep. And this is a point because the Korean Ranger and the Wirewood Symbiote don't use tap abilities. This is one where you have to be very careful about showing how or whether you've used something this turn.
Yeah,
as well.
Quentin's shuffling them back from his front line, so to speak. Some people I've seen turn them upside down.
Just to represent that they've used them.
Yeah, just to represent that they've used them, but stops people thinking they're tapped as well. So.
Yeah, okay.
So what Quinn has done is use the Korean Ranger to untap Deathrite and tap Deathrite to generate mana.
Did Rob just target the Quirion Ranger? It looks like Rob just targeted the Quirion Ranger with Dark Blast there, and Quentin's picked it up using the Wirewood Symbiote.
Yeah, he's just got his second untap for free, basically.
Now, interestingly, with all that happening at the end of Quentin's turn, Quentin theoretically could eat that Dark Blast on Rob's upkeep, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could do. Yeah, he could have used 2 more untaps because they reset at the start of the turn to eat the Dark Blast. But also, if Quentin doesn't do it in Rob's upkeep, he can't respond to Rob dredging it because it's a replacement effect.
Yeah.
So he doesn't use the stack whatsoever.
So Quentin would have to be proactive about using his Deathrite Shaman. And to be honest, I think that he's just happy to sit on his Deathrite Shaman at this point because eventually it will just simply start eating.
Yeah, I think
away at Rob.
I think Rob should have just dredged, but I'm not sure he knows interaction, or maybe he just needs to use his mana for something else. I mean, he still has that Jitty, he hasn't pulled the trigger yet, but it's not very useful in the face of 2 Wirewood Symbiotes.
No, in the face of 2 Wirewood Symbiotes, there's definite problems here. Rob's just going to block with his Snapcaster Mage here on one of the Nettle Sentinels. Yeah, it looks like he's assuming that Quentin isn't going to do anything with his Wirewood Symbiote there, but no, Quentin just lets it go away and Rob takes 2. Would you try to save the Nettle Sentinel there, or?
Oh, it's quite... You're fine with it trading. You don't want to use any of those returning elves because they're just going to protect your Deathrite, and that's probably what's going to bring the game on for Quentin.
Yep. And Rob at this point, he can flash his Jitty in, but that Jitty just bolted to a Stoneforge Mystic isn't going to make a huge amount of difference here. You think with 2 Wirewood Symbiotes in play? And it looks like Rob is countering the Quirion Ranger. He took a little bit of time over doing that, I've got to admit. But
And now with him tapped out, has he tapped? So
he's tapped out of blue for sure. Quentin just eats his Dark Blast while he's...
well, he can't fire off a Brainstorm.
Yep. Which is well played there by Quentin because he's making sure that Rob can't do any sort of fast reaction to it to allow him to dredge the card back up.
Yeah, I definitely think Rob should have brought it back in his draw step. He could have had one of those Quirion Rangers dead.
Well, one of the Wirewood Symbiotes.
That's the money, yeah.
That's the bunny. It's an
Or the
insect.
insect.
Well, Rob did flash in his jitty at end of turn. And we've got a reader on Wirewood Symbiote again there.
It is quite a complicated card. There's a lot of interactions with it that if you're not familiar with, can catch you out.
And the fact that there's Quirion Ranger going on there as well is just it's a little bit of an addition to that, isn't it? It's just... and there is Brainstorm from Rob, so he more than likely did have that... he more than likely was able to protect his Dark Blast with a Brainstorm, so Quentin's played around it quite nicely.
There's a sword on one of the Wirewoods. So if he had have dredged back the Dark Blast, that could have been both Wirewood Symbiotes dead.
Yep.
And GT would have been active. We saw what happened last game when that happened.
Yeah, when Jitty gets active, Elves really is on the back foot to an insane degree in this matchup. But as we can see here, the Jitty does have work to do because Rob's currently on 7 and staring down a Wirewood Symbiote. Sorry, a Deathrite Shaman and a Wirewood Symbiote. So, in theory, Quentin can activate that twice in a turn. So Rob's not got too long to make something happen here.
Yeah, GT on defence at this point seems fine because he's not going to want to untap his guys. You know, and return it after he's attacked until he's got 2 elves he wants to actually attack with. And he's not going to swing with the Deathrite, he just wants to eat all Rob's action.
Yep. So Quentin has returned his Nettle Sentinel to his hand there for with Wirewood Symbiote, it looks like.
That could signify he didn't actually have a green spell to untap it.
And oh, that's not good news for him because we've got another Snapcaster Mage and a Swords to Plowshares here. So that would be the end of the Deathrite Shaman if that's the case. I think Quentin's just checking that the mana's right.
Deathrite is a very immediate threat.
Yeah, and it's gone, so...
However, he still can't really get through with the Jitter.
Well, he can because there's only a Wirewood Symbiote on the board.
Yeah, well, you're assuming he's going to cast the Nail Sentinel in his next turn.
Yeah. So again, pretty good timing there from Rob. He's... I
think that was in response to the Wirewood Symbiote untap. So, because Quentin did have the black mana open, so he would have been assuming he would eat that and Swords to Plowshares anyway, so he got some good use out of it.
Yeah. 2 mana for Quentin, that's the engine.
Yeah. This is like the Elves grind engine.
Yeah. And again, making sure that Jitty can't really do anything for Rob at this point.
Just so to see if Quentin can draw into some action. Ideally like a Glimpse of Nature, Green Sun Zenith to get rid of the Jitte. Natural Order, so that would get rid of the Jitte. You can always use Natural Order to fetch a smaller creature. It doesn't have to be one of your big boom booms. It can be Harmonic Slither as well.
Is it just a green creature?
It is just a green creature, yeah.
I mean, Verdant Force, they've just shortcut there, the pick up and put back down. It used to be Verdant Force for the old Secret Force deck that I remember. You can see the dice in the middle of the table there, guys. That does mean we are in extra turns here, so Quentin is going to have to summon something pretty spectacular in order to win from this point, but he's still very capable of doing it. Oh, that's Zealous Persecution from Rob. That's pretty brutal.
Yep, it's a very good card in this matchup.
And that also means active Jitty.
Yep, but will Rob have time to close out the game with Quentin at 19?
No, I'm pretty sure that Rob is... I'm pretty sure that he's just stolen the turn dice there. Thanks very much for that, Rob. I'm pretty sure that that was turn 2 of extra turns, so Rob's only got 1 more turn at this point. So it's really up to Quentin to try and kill Rob at this point through a Jitty.
Yeah, well, he could fetch land into natural order for Creator doesn't quite get there because he's got life gain on the JT.
Gets him a step closer because Creator Behemoth is a bit 5/5.
He is a bit of a chunky monkey. Or a frog, or whatever you want to call him.
Beast, I think's the official designation.
He does look a little bit like a frog, though.
Yep, there's Elvish Visionary. Quentin also has a cradle there, so there's potential for sure for Quentin to be able to do something here.
The problem is he's only going to be able to attack with the Crater Hoof if he does go off big, because he's not had another guy in play in that turn. So he's going to have to make like 3 guys and then get Crater Hoof, so he's not even that much of an ass.
Well, if he managed to natural order into Progenitors here, he's also good, isn't he, at this point?
Yeah, assuming Rob hasn't got his Perish or Supreme Verts or something, that would be.
Yep. But at least it's a plan that Quentin can have here. He's by no means out of the game.
Yeah, he's definitely in. He could still win.
He's definitely having a bit of a think about this, and once you're into extra turns, you can have that little bit of an extra think.
Yeah, it's a little bit naughty, but I'm sure everyone's done it.
Well, considering there were a lot of games this weekend, and certainly during the first few rounds of Legacy, the rounds did go quite a little bit over time.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you get Esper Blade decks playing against each other.
Yep, don't blame the combo decks in Legacy, guys. It's the mid-rangey control decks that take some time.
Yep.
It's not like your modern format where Eggs takes forever to win on the last turn. The only deck that does that really is Time Spiral. So.
Have we seen a lot of? Did you see a lot of Spiral Tide over the weekend? Or?
Nope, I didn't see anybody playing it. It was something I was considering playing, and I just didn't get around to borrowing the deck of anyone. And the Elves was like, "Ooh, new toy." Then I don't just pick up that Elves deck and just play it, guys. It is very complicated. You think you might be making the correct lines, but later on you realise, nope, you are playing like a cripple.
My guess is that most people. Can't pick up almost any Legacy deck and just play it. Is it something that you just have to? Think you just have to put a lot of practice into?
Yep, the more you practice Legacy, the better you get. It's one of those kinds of formats. I mean, even you're learning your interactions in your own deck, it takes so long because there's so many different things you can do in the format. And so many different angles of attack you've got to combat.
Yep. And Quentin's creature just vanishing because of that jitty, and the way is bare for Quentin at the moment, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything at this point. Yep, here we go. Final turn. Can Quentin do something miraculous through 4 through 4 Lingering Souls tokens and a Snapcaster Mage? Actually, Quentin with a bit of showmanship there. He's showing his hand. It's Nettle Sentinel and Regal Force, so unfortunately that draw isn't going to help him, and I'm afraid, guys, we are going to be relegated to another draw at this point. So both of these guys are going to go into the draw bracket, and we will join you for round 5.